Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Thursday, February 17th, 2022. Welcome to day 394. Joe Biden claimed that every indication points to Putin carrying out an invasion of Ukraine within the next several days. Biden, maintaining that there was a diplomatic path that avoids conflict, said the threat of a Russian invasion was very high and that the U.S. and its allies have reason to believe that they are engaged in a false flag operation to have an excuse to go in. Biden's comments come after Ukraine said Russian-backed separatists were responsible for a big provocation after artillery shells hit a kindergarten in eastern Ukraine. The separatists accused the Ukrainians of staging the attack, the sort of incident the U.S. has warned Russia might try to use to create, quote, an invented justification for war, end quote. Despite earlier reports that Putin may be pulling some of its troops back, U.S. officials say they believe Moscow has instead increased its troop presence to some 150,000 along the Ukrainian border, with 7,000 new troops arriving in recent days. Russia, meanwhile, denied that it intends to invade Ukraine, dismissing the reports as hysteria. Back in the United States, Trump Jr, and Ivanka Trump all must testify in New York Attorney General Letitia James's civil probe into the Trump Organization, this according to a ruling from a state judge. New York Judge Arthur Engoron rejected their request to block James's subpoenas for testimony and related documents, ordering the three Trumps to appear for depositions within 21 days. Trump was also ordered to comply with a subpoena for documents and other information within 14 days. James is investigating whether the Trump Organization inflated the valuations of real estate assets in order to obtain loans and tax benefits. In court filings, James has said that her office has, quote, uncovered substantial evidence establishing numerous misrepresentations in Trump's financial statements provided to banks, insurers, and the Internal Revenue Service, end quote. Earlier this month, Trump's longtime accounting firm ended its relationship with the company and warned that financial statements from 2011 to 2020 quote, should no longer be relied upon, end quote. Trump's lawyers indicated that they would appeal the judge's decision. Meanwhile, a House committee urged the General Services Administration to consider terminating the lease of the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C., citing the statement from Trump's former accounting firm that a decade of the company's financial statements cannot be relied on as accurate. In a letter to the GSA, the two top Democrats on the House Oversight Committee said the disclosures from Mazars USA warrant a closer look, pointing to a clause in the lease requiring that any information provided by the leaseholder to a bank, quote, shall be true and correct in all material aspects, end quote. Trump's company, meanwhile, is preparing to sell the hotel lease soon, which is expected to net the Trump Organization a profit of more than $100 million. The House committee last year disclosed that the hotel lost more than $70 million from 2016 to 2020. And finally, the January 6th committee reportedly discussed issuing a subpoena for Ivanka Trump. Investigators last month requested Ivanka's voluntary cooperation, saying that she was in direct contact with Trump on the day of the insurrection, and that she may have direct knowledge of his efforts to pressure Mike Pence to block Congress's certification of the 2020 election results. The prospect of a subpoena emerged during discussions about what options remained available after Ivanka appeared to refuse the request to cooperate. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditis.